In Afghanistan, the U.S. is now talking with the Taliban. Defense Secretary Robert Gates acknowledging on Sunday both sides have been in contact. Now, those talks come as rhetoric on all sides seems to be moving toward a beginning of the end for U.S. involvement there at a withdrawal of troops. One of the first correspondents on the ground with U.S. forces in the first days of the war was CBS News Chief Foreign Affairs correspondent Lara Logan. She joins us this morning from Washington. Lara, good morning. Great to have your expertise on this. As you look at what we're learning over the weekend, how could these talks potentially lead to an endgame for U.S. troops?
Well, it's been clear for a long time that the U.S. is looking for a way out. Some are calling it a desperate scramble for the exits. But at the same time, they're trying to convince the Afghans that they're committed and they're there for the long haul. What's not being talked about in all the news about the talks, Erica, is the fact that the U.S. is supposed to be just beginning negotiations for a long-term status of forces withdrawal, agreement with the Afghans, which would dictate what the U.S. presence in Afghanistan looks like long-term. But before they can even get to that, there has to be some kind of resolution to the conflict there. And is this realistic? Well, a lot of people say it absolutely isn't. And in fact, Secretary Gates was very, very hesitant to give any kind of great import to this, because the truth is that no one even knows if the U.S. is talking to the right people. They went very far in negotiations not so long ago, and the man they were negotiating with turned out to be a fraud, and it was a joke. I mean, everyone looked very stupid after that. And so there's hesitation on the U.S. side, but there's also increasingly a desperate political push domestically to be out of Afghanistan, and that's driving this more than any kind of reality on the ground.
Well, there also has to be, for parties to negotiate, to want to have these talks, obviously each side wants to get something out of it. Is there really, though, an upside for the Taliban in sitting down for talks with the U.S.?
Sure, they win. They win the war as far as they're concerned, because they've not been defeated by the U.S. You know, one of the most interesting things about this, Erica, is that having been there in 2001 and 2 and 3 and 4 and every year since, I remember the days when the U.S. believed they could defeat the Taliban. That was not an unrealistic goal. In fact, no one even considered that there was an alternative. It was absolutely unthinkable that they would be negotiating and allowing the Taliban to come back. And what this says to the U.S.'s Afghan allies is that, if you resist us long enough and drag us down in a war that seems to be unwinnable to our people, then we'll give in. And we will give you a seat at the table. You can return to power in your country. And what it says to all the Afghans that fought with us is that, well, you've struggled this last decade. Many of you don't even have jobs, can't feed your children. But don't worry, that's just too bad, because if you'd resisted us, you'd now be getting a job and a nice salary, and your village would be getting lots of development money and that kind of thing. So it also sends a message to Al-Qaeda that you can dress it up any way you like and sell it to the American people. But as far as we're concerned, we also won. We hung on long enough until you couldn't take it anymore for one reason or another, and now they have the opportunity to come back.
There will be a lot of spinning of both of that on both sides, we can be sure. Lara Logan in Washington. Lara, thanks.